I am good, thanks. How are you? How's everybody there who is watching us? We have an extra special guest today, the lovely head of Sapin Women in Cape Town, and that is Akashni. Akashni, how are you?
Good and you guys.
You
All
are
good.
awesome.
How's your weekend, Makashni? I mean, in Cape Town, it's never a dull week with you and Jonathan, just looking at your statuses, being student accommodations. How was your weekend?
It's stunning. And I actually am so disappointed that I didn't actually film this or stream this from the site that I was just on. We're doing a student accommodation. It's going good. It's everything's on the ground, complete rubble everywhere. So very sad that I can't show you that right now, but you'll see it on my social media.
Geez, that's awesome, man. That sounds so cool. Like I said, it's never a dull moment with you and Jonathan. Hey? There's always something you guys are working with. But Kali, how was your weekend?
My weekend was actually relatively calm. Just looking at some deals, nothing too hectic. I had a very relaxed, calm weekend. I wasn't doing rubble in student accommodation. But as always, I'm going to be standing in for Andrew Walker, who is in the Netherlands now, right?
I don't care. He's a bottler. If you can, just tag Andrew and just say, why does he keep dropping the bag, ladies and gents? But it's all good. We get to be joined by Kali Masuwane again. Always a pleasure having you, Kali. And we're super excited to have this coffee chat. I think I'm very, very excited to talk to the guests. But let us know where you are watching from. I can see Kerry Lee watching from YouTube. Let us know, Kerry, what are you working on? How's your portfolio looking? My weekend was quite cool. We are about to lodge on a property on a multi-let, so actually really nervous about the renovations. That's because renovation never goes to plan for me. I don't know why. Hopefully this time I've got some good tradesmen coming in. So I am really excited. We had an awesome full one-day workshop. It would be interesting to see if any of the individuals that were on that workshop, if you are joining us, let us know. If you're joining us down below. But maybe we should go through events, hey, Kali, while people warm up. So this week, Saturday, Akashni, you are hosting a Sapin Women event. Hey? Do you mind telling us a bit about that event? Who's it for? What you'll be discussing?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dan. And congrats on your multi-lets as well. I think it's a wonderful project. Wonderful. So with regards to our event coming up on Saturday, it's Sapin Women. It's our first one for the year, and in Cape Town. So we are looking forward to getting some lovely ladies that we met last year into that session. And we've got an excellent guest speaker that Dan and Kali will be telling you about now. And the whole aim here is to basically just get our women network together so that we can talk about, different challenges that women are facing in the property industry, and also to give some great encouragement and leadership and knowledge sharing to women and just support one another.
Geez, that sounds so amazing. Hey? And we will be talking to the guest speaker later on. She's an amazing lady. But looking further, on the 23rd of March, we are having our group coaching, our monthly group coaching and legal support. This is for all intermediate professionals, Sapin youth members. So if you do have a membership with us, once every month we jump onto a free group coaching session where we get our legal team as well to answer all property related questions you do have. We also get, what's her name? Lisa, yes, from Intergen, talking about how do your structures look like. And because property is an ongoing thing, hey, you do need guidance and support, and you need to talk to attorneys. We do that free of charge for all of our members. On the 25th, we're having a Sapin Women event in Johannesburg. So Sapin Women this month is going great places, and it's actually the International Women's Month, if I'm not mistaken. So happy Women's Month to each and every single one of you. All love from Sapin. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to join any events, but I'm sure you all have fun in these events. And then after that, we have an APSA related webinar with Zaida, the head of the first time home buyers department, all around how should your first property be an investment or should it be a primary residence? So it's going to be an amazing conversation. If you can join us on that one, it's going to be amazing. On the 30th, we've got a mastermind for all the professional members. For those that do not know, our mastermind is a session where we have once every month, and it's all around holding you accountable. So there's property coaches, you get assigned an accountability buddy, you get to set goals for the year, you review the previous goals from last month, and we help you on this journey. So it's, again, continuous support. And then looking further down the line, on the 20th, we've got a business partner networking event. So it's going to be quite an eventful month. Looking forward to each and every single one of the events. And just seeing the comment section down below, Kali, there's a comment from Kerry, huh?
I saw that. So as we said earlier on, just please let us know where you are viewing us from, be it Facebook, YouTube, and specifically where, because we have an ongoing war between Cape Town and Johannesburg. Johannesburg has been a little lackluster, falling behind. So guys, we can't let Cape Town win. Akashni is awesome, but we cannot. We cannot. Come on, guys. But yeah, so we have a few people joining us. Carrie Lee, she said she's joining us from Facebook. We have other individuals joining us from, not Facebook, I beg your pardon, from YouTube. And then we have other individuals joining us from Facebook. But shortly we're going to be introducing our guests.
Yeah, definitely. So Kerry says she did hand over of my 2 properties this weekend, so I'm celebrating. Awesome. Well done. Awesome. Always good to
Kerry,
see
where
success.
are you from? Just let us know in the chat box where are you from. Oh, I would love to steal this one.
I'm sure from Joburg. And
Yes.
for those of you that are joining us, in the comment section down below, please check out our events page and just make sure you are familiar with all the events happening in your local cities. Joining us on the line again for people that just joined us is Akashni, the Sapin woman, not host, but the head of Sapin Women in Cape Town, and she's doing some amazing work. And she actually has an amazing person joining us on the line. I think it's time we maybe introduce our guest speaker. What does everyone think?
I think so too. Just a quick one. Carrie is from Centurion. So it's neither of us, but we'll take it. We'll take it as Joburg.
It's our thing.
Yes. Still counts.
Still counts.
Yes.
So awesome. I'll let her tell you a bit about herself, but joining us on the line is Carmen. Carmen is an amazing person. Just getting the chance to hear from her in the backstage. She's got a wealth of knowledge and experience. And yeah, maybe let's start off with that. Hey, Carmen, how are you doing?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
All good, Carmen. We're super excited to have you on. Thank you so much for making time to join us on this week's Coffee Chat.
Okay, thanks. I'm glad to be here. I've heard the amazing intros, so I just hope I can live up to all that amazingness.
Yes. Just don't screw it up and we're fine. I'm joking.
Okay.
But maybe tell us a bit about yourself, Carmen. What you do for a living, for those of you, for those of us that haven't maybe had the pleasure of meeting, and for all the viewers joining us.
Okay, so firstly, I am a wife, mother to 3, and I've also got a granddaughter. And then I'm a business owner. So I am the sole director of Miraki Property Solutions. We a registered real estate agency firm offering sales and leasing services in Cape Town, and then also accredited training provider for real estate level 4 and 5. And the accredited training and non-accredited training is spread across, well, it's national because we can do it virtually. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I've been in the property industry for about 20 years. It's really a part of me. And yeah, I just love the industry. In order to survive so long, you have to love it. Otherwise, you won't survive.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, definitely. And yeah, just hearing all that gives me goosebumps. Hey, and seeing that you're also a principal, aren't you?
Yes, I'm a principal of a firm as well. I've got about 8 interns running at the moment, which they start in fresh as interns. I take them through the 2-year qualification process and then provide them with a host company as well so they can register the FFC with Miraki. And then I take them through the training journey and get them qualified and specialized as agents.
That is amazing, Carmen. And you and I have had the fortune of working with
Yes.
each other, so I know you are excellent when it comes to to training and also accrediting individuals. However, we have like a few facts that I wanted you to verify for us, because the property practitioner industry in itself is quite an interesting one. And like you said, for you to last that long, you need to absolutely love property, because I understand that something like 10% of all agents quit within the first year. Subsequently, like 87% just survive on selling 1 to 3 properties in that. So in terms of the property practitioners industry, what are some of the benchmarks in terms of how do people get in and stay in? Like you said, so many actually quit within the first year.
Okay, so for me, the first thing is mindset. Why are they coming into the industry? Number one, you really find people that is leaving matric and say, I want a career as a real estate agent. People are coming in because they're not succeeding in other things. People are coming in because they're looking for a flexible job or a part-time thing, so they've got flexibility. People are not always entering the industry for the right reasons. And I find those are the guys that are falling out. If you're coming into this industry and you want to make a career as a real estate agent and you treat it as a full-time job and not as a hobby or side hustle, you're going to succeed. So I'm finding that the ones falling out are the ones that are not wanting to make a career of this.
Yeah, definitely. And just coming in with an outside perspective, a lot of people tell me, geez, Daniel, I'll be an agent. I mean, I sell one property for R1,000,000. I make about 75,000 rand. It's seen as easy money, but it's not. It's hard work that agents go through, or property practitioners go through to actually make a living. And like you said, you can't just do it on a part-time basis and expect immediate results.
Exactly. And absolutely, that is it. And also the perception that it's a quick deal or a quick buck, like not at all, eh? The amount of legislation we need to know, the knowledge we need to know. We're dealing with people's biggest investments at the end of the day. And some people are just taking it too lightly because they are not taking it seriously. I mean, there's contracts we need to fill in. We need to know the different laws. We need to know both from the seller and the buyer side, even the landlord and the tenant. There's so much knowledge we need to know in order to give them a expert service. So even with the training side, I find that a lot of agents are doing it because the PPRA says they must do it and they need to be training compliant. And they're not doing it because they actually want to learn more about the industry and learn how to better upskill themselves to do their job correctly and to give the public a better service. So there again, I feel it's mindset. And the minute you're going to come into it with the right mindset, then you're going to succeed. And another big thing is consistency. There is deals that I'm closing or passing on to my agents these days, because I don't do my own listings, of relationships I've built 15, 16 years ago. Leads don't happen overnight. You have to be consistent. You have to build a database and you have to stay in contact with these people. And this business is really about building relationships and maintaining those relationships. And you can't expect to drop 100 flyers today and expect tomorrow, I got no hits from the 100 flyers, flyer drops don't work. You need to have a plan. You need to know every day, this is the time I'm setting aside for lead generation. And even if you're sitting with 3 or 4 listings, the lead generation doesn't stop. It has to be a daily action and there has to be consistency. So the minute you've got that consistency, you're going to build and you're going to succeed. So I feel that is where the stats are coming in. Yes, there is quite a barrier to entry at the moment in terms of, number one, you need to have 1,940 Rand to get your Fidelity Fund certificate. Number two, you need close to 6,000 Rand for your training to get compliant. Number three, you probably need 3 to 6 months of income to sustain yourself before that first deal is registered. You need to have money for fuel. You need to have money for airtime. You need data. So there's quite a build up that you need. And I feel a lot of people also drop off because they're not getting the income in the first 3 to 6 months. But I do feel if you informing people coming in upfront correctly and letting them know what the cost layout is and what they are up for, it may help. And some people, when I do the initial contact with them, then they ask me, are you trying to push me out or bring me in? I need to tell you the facts, and you need to decide, can you sustain this? Is this something you are willing to do? Would you persevere? If that career and that goal to become a full status agent is really what you want to do, then you're going to put in the necessary resources, time, and effort to get it done.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And ladies and gents, for those that are joining us on the line, we have Carmen, our guest speaker for the SAPN Women's events happening in Cape Town this Saturday. If you have any questions for Carmen, please make sure you use the comment section down below. If you know of anyone that might want to become a property practitioner within Cape Town region and would like to connect with Carmen, again, just tag them down below, ask your questions, and we will relay them to Carmen. So just a follow-up on that, Carmen, I definitely agree with you. And my question was going to be towards that last section. When people enter this industry, they think, okay, if I sell a property now, let's say I started now, and miraculously I get a lead, motivated seller, I list it today, it gets sold today. They think tomorrow they get their commission, hey? Not knowing it takes like 3 months to probably register into the buyer's name before you can get commission. And another discipline, just talking about some of my agent friends, having financial literacy, understanding how to budget your commissions again, is an important part as well, hey?
Yes, it definitely is. And it's actually one of the assignments in the NQF4 module that we do. You actually have to prepare a personal budget and say, how do you manage your finances as a commission earner? How do you manage your tax liabilities? You're not getting a fixed income. So there is also very good uses to doing the NQF4 training, because it also helps with things like personal development and setting up budgets and knowing how to manage your finances as well. And these days, I can remember a good couple of years ago, probably like 15 years ago, we could literally go to our first viewing, pull out the offer to purchase on the counter, complete it, submit it, and run on to our next deal. But these days, you have to track that deal from the time it goes to the bond originator right up until registration. You are walking on ice, because it's like there's so many uncertainties these days up until registration. And you have to make sure as an agent that you are tracking it. You're staying in contact with the bond originator. You're staying in contact with the conveyancer. You're keeping your parties updated. There's so many laws that have changed. Schooling our buyers on not going shopping after that bond is approved. There's so many things we have to do these days. Literally hold your hand until registration. And I mean, even 10 days before registration, that deal can fall through if they do an updated credit check. So we need to really, that after sales service is super important these days up until registration.
I read recently that the average property practitioner is 50 years old. And at SAPN, we have SAPN Women. We also have SAPN Youth. And we have quite a few members in youth that want to get into the property industry, be it as property practitioners, as engineers or conveyancing attorneys. So with what advice would you have for our members as SAPN Youth, but also just youth in general, on how to enter the real estate agency market and community, and also not to be discouraged, because it's a bit scary that the average property practitioner is 50 years old.
Sure. I tell you, when I used to go to events also about 15 years ago, I used to sort of stand out, because that has always been the profile, typical profile of estate agents, 50 plus. And it normally used to be white dominated as well. So, that was always like probably 98% of the room. at any networking event and things like that, you know. The reason for that is because, like I say, people never started out their career as a real estate agent. They would retire as a teacher, and instead of wanting to sit at home, I'll become a real estate agent. Or, you know, I'm tired of being a stay-at-home mom. My kids are grown and go to varsity. I'm going to become a real estate agent. So that is always how it's been. That's why people started at such a late age as real estate agents. I have seen since COVID, or there's been a big influx of younger real estate agents into the industry. I would say mainly because of the travel and tourism industry that came to a halt. There was a big influx from that sector into our industry. And there's been a lot of a lot of the agents that I've been training is sort of at least under 35, which has been great. But like you say, I think there's actually more of an advantage, because if you're going to go to varsity or you're going to go to college, you don't have a chance to earn an income unless you get a part-time job. Whereas this, you can earn while you learn. So you can start an internship. Think of the fees you would have to pay to a varsity or an institution. You're doing the same year. You're investing into a 2-year education. You're getting an internship from the start, and you got a chance to earn, and you get learn on the job. So I mean, to me that sounds like a good deal.
It does. It is a good deal. But I think the main premise is, like you said, predominantly, you know, prior, or rather recently, it's changed, which is really, really good. But I think people would be discouraged when you're trying to enter a market, because the assumption then is that everybody here has a lot more experience than you. And so you are easily 20 years behind on, you know, in an industry that thing. But when you place it as same way you do a 2-year diploma or a 3-year diploma degree, you're doing the same thing here. And the difference is, you can get paid within the first 8 months of your degree, right? As opposed to you do 3 years, then you have to go look for a job, then there's a whole bunch of things that you used to do. So I do absolutely understand that. But we're going to be going into events, which is why you are joining us today, because of the amazing Sapin Women events that are happening this Saturday on the 18th of March.
Yeah, definitely. So on the 18th of March, we are having a Sapin Youth event, and joining us is Akashni. So I will ask Akashni a couple of questions. Akashni is also a property practitioner in Cape Town, and she has awesome ideas developing a brokerage and going into asset management. I just want to chat about that a bit later. And on the 23rd of February, for all of our intermediate professional members, we have monthly group coaching and legal support. We will be having a Sapin Women's event on the 25th of March as well. And on the 18th, we've got a content webinar with Absa Bank, our headline sponsor for this year, all around should your first property be an investment or your primary residence. And joining us on that day will be Zaida, the head of the first-time home buyers, a product within Absa Bank. And on the 30th, we end the month with our monthly masterminds for all of our professional members. But just slowly coming back to you. And just a reminder, please make sure you ask all your questions. And while we are wrapping up, we are going to be asking all the questions you have for Carmen, as well as Akashni later on. Akashni, I just wanted to maybe ask a question. I definitely love what Sapin Women is doing, and what Sapin Women stands for, and addressing the different barriers to entry and unique things that women have, entering in this industry. You are a practitioner in Cape Town. Tell us a bit about what your goals are for this year in Sapin Women, and bring experts like Carmen and everyone else you have planned for the year, what they're going to be addressing, huh?
Absolutely. Thanks so much. So, you know, for Sapin Women, I think why we've actually gone and done a different group altogether is because, you know, like with anything, when you're developing and when you find yourself in a category, say, for example, it's women, or whether it's Black women, or whatever the case may be, you know, you weren't born necessarily into wealth sometimes. Sometimes you were, but maybe sometimes you were not born into entrepreneurship, you know, stuff like that. So as you transition along in your journey, you need support. You need people to be able to talk to. You need need, professionals just like Carmen. For example, she has actually done her own business and she's running it very, very well. We'd like to ask those types of questions to entrepreneurs, and as women, try to also understand and get into the mindset of people who have already done it before. But I think what's critically important for women specifically is that we need to see women faces. We actually need to see a woman doing it, and that's how we start to train our brains into trying and seeing ourselves in those positions. So I think for me, the main goal of why we've gone and done a SAPN women specifically is because women want to see a woman face. They want to see women in leadership power so that they can tell themselves that they can also do that in future. So for me, it's about empowerment. But empowerment is a word nowadays that people use very loosely. I think you've got to make it very practical for women to be able to apply that knowledge and say, well, here I've got a corporate job, but how do I actually still do this property thing? How do I become an investor, or how do I start my own business and transition maybe out of my job into an entrepreneurial role? Or how can I do both, at the same time and efficiently? So that's our goals. We want to be able to provide that support, but we want to be able to provide more faces of women who are successful in the industry.
That's amazing. Hey? And again, women face so many unique situations when entering into businesses. Just hearing Carmen's intro, she is a mom, she has grandchildren, she runs a business, she does training by the side. Jesus, it must be hectic. But just coming back to you, Carmen, you're also on a mission to change the reputation that is associated to a lot of property practitioners. Hey? Can you tell us a bit about what are some of the statements that are aligned with property practitioners throughout South Africa that you are not too happy with? Hey?
Yeah, so I mean, often you find that the public don't always feel that the agents have their best interest at heart, that it's all about the commission, and that somehow they're going to get conned out of some rands or values somewhere. So also, there is some things happening in the industry we see a lot of this going on, and I'm actually glad that the PPRA is finally, getting to a point where they're putting a deadline in place. People need to be training compliant. They need to have their licenses updated. Otherwise, they're going to fall out of the system. Because I feel then the guys that are not taking this seriously will weed out, because it makes it difficult for us now, especially for me. I'm not linked to a big known brand that they can easily identify, so basically I have to, work a little harder at getting the name known, getting the name trusted. But the feedback we generally get is that they don't want to sign a mandate because they've been hurt previously or they've been disadvantaged previously. It's pretty much like people going into relationships. They're a bit cautious after the first breakup. So that is what we're finding. The hesitancy mostly around signing mandates is more about they've had a previous bad experience.
So Akashni, as we said, Carmen is going to be joining you for the first ever SAPN Women event this Saturday. Can you go about what exactly we're going to be unpacking on that day?
Absolutely. So I'm very, very excited for this Saturday because for me, it's all about bringing new faces to the party who are women leaders. And Carmen's going to be unpacking first and foremostly her own backstory, because I think that's really important. How did Carmen actually get there? I was very fascinated to understand myself. When I found Carmen and I saw her LinkedIn page, it really impressed me. She's got a wealth of experience. She's got 20 years of experience in the industry, and that's a lot. And it's imparting that onto somebody is first and foremost what the agenda will be all about. And then secondly, she'll tell us about her business and tell us how she runs it. How does Carmen actually juggle all of this sort of stuff? And then I really want to encourage women to get to know Carmen a lot better, because she's a fantastic network for us all to have, for us to know. If we have our property related questions, or if we're struggling, we want to be able to reach out to more people like Carmen. And so I think what's really important, and what we're going to really bring out in this event on Saturday, is just who Carmen is, and what information can Carmen help us with that's going to help us not feel so alone in our property journeys. How we're going to be the best versions of ourselves as we go along in this property journey, and how we're going to do all of this effectively. What's our direction? Where are we headed with all of this? Is it for investment? Is it for our children? Is it for building a business? What is it for? So, I'm really looking forward to Carmen also pointing us in the right direction.
That is fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. So everybody in Cape Town, unfortunately, the men are not allowed, but all the lovely ladies in Cape Town, please make sure you book your ticket for our event on the 18th of March. Now we're going to be going to the questions. As we said earlier on, please ask all your questions you want to ask Carmen in the comment box. But our first one is from Tembisa, and he, I am assuming, would like to know, how do you work out your commissions? Is it competitive between agencies? And Carmen, that is something that's actually, obviously the first light bulb when people get into this industry, they understand that it's commission based. So they want to know, how do you work out your commissions and if it's competitive?
Okay, so I assume that you're speaking about the agent commission split and not the commission to the seller. So if we're looking at the agent commission split, there are definitely different packages around. There are different agencies that have different commission structures. Some agencies would include desk fees or royalties or those kinds of things. With my company, we don't have any desk fees or royalties. We're not linked to any sort of franchise. I do start off, though, with a slightly lower commission split, and then I incentivize the agent to become training compliant. Once they're training compliant, we can move a tier up. And then once they're training compliant and full status estate agents, then we start tracking the volume of deals that they are bringing in. And then there would be incentives to improve their commission structure on that basis. So I feel that it's always having incentives in place is good. And the advantage, though, with coming in with Meraki Property Solutions is I'm bringing in the training as well, the NQF4 training. So the agent has that advantage as well, that having a Fidelity Fund certificate with us means that they are getting training from an accredited training provider as well, which is sort of a plus. So I find that to be my competitive advantage at the moment. There are, of course, different other structures, but it's really, before an agent really goes and gets that first Fidelity Fund certificate, they should research the company, check the commission splits, check how the work structure is, but also check the company's values and see, does that align with your own personal values? Oh, and then Tim Visa says no, he's actually speaking about seller commission. Okay, let me start again.
Take two.
Sure, let's go for it. So seller commission, there is no prescribed rate, right? The board doesn't set a rate that we need to charge our sellers. However, there has always been what we call a sort of industry standard. So the industry standard has always been in, around 7.5%. It would depend if you VAT registered or not. I have, though, found in the last probably 4 years, just since COVID or pre-COVID, just before, there has been a bit of a drop in the industry standard, and it's come down to about 5% or 6% in the areas we are working. And we find that is mostly based on the economic climate that we found ourselves in. So in some areas, you will find that agents are still able to achieve the 7.5%. There are also agents coming out with fixed commission structures at the moment. But I mean, you need to, the way I will look at it, when I will have a set commission which is open for negotiation, but I would look at the various factors with the agent first when they're asking for a discount. Is the property priced right? Is the property saleable?
Mm.
What is the reason that we need to drop the commission? Perhaps the seller bought at a bit of a up, and if we work out, these guys that bought in COVID, they're trying to sell now, and if they sell at the existing market value, most likely they're going to run at a loss. So with these instances like that, and we can do something to help them without us coming short, then we can certainly look at it. But you need to consider, where's the property located? How many times will you have to go out to the property? What's my advertising cost going to be? What's my fuel cost going to be? And if it's not going to be profitable, then I would say rather walk away.
Mm. Yeah,
But
and
at the moment, are we looking at seller's commission?
yeah, and just coming in from like the other side of the table as an investor that works with a lot of agents, you obviously also do not want to be too stingy, and this is the way they make their income. This is how they make a living, and you obviously
Yeah,
want to incentivize the agents as well, and not just negotiate something absolutely ridiculous. I'm happy to pay
exactly.
whatever the agent wants, and I'll incentivize them. If you sell my property within, say, 3 weeks, I'll give you an extra 20,000 rand. And it's about just finding again the
Yeah,
balance in working with each other, and everything is negotiable. But as my mentor tells me, some of your power team members you do not want to negotiate too much and give them the bare bones, and yeah, that
yeah.
just limits the how not competent but how motivated they are to get your property. So, but just a follow-up question on that, Carmen. A lot of people think there's probably just one side of being a property
Mm,
practitioner, which is the sales section, but there's
mm.
also a way you can start managing properties. Hey? Do you feel that's almost an underrated part of entering as a property practitioner? Do you feel it's harder? Do you think people should be looking towards going down that route as well, as opposed to the sales hope I'm making sense.
Yeah, is that for the agents to consider? Okay. So I was more tailored, or I've been dealing more with rentals in the past 15 years than I have with sales. When I was still with Chorus before I started my business, my main business was rentals, and we didn't just manage your sort of individual investor that had one or two properties. We managed quite big portfolios, so that can be quite operationally intense. But when I started Miraki, the first thing I thought is, I'm not doing rentals. I've had enough of rentals. I've been doing it for so long. I'm going to try and do the sales. Then I realized, but often the seller or the purchaser wants to lease out the property. So why do I want to refer it to somebody else? Then I thought, okay, I'm just going to do placements. At least it's a hit and run. But that didn't work out either, because I find that once you've built that trust relationship with the client, they often want you to continue with the services. But I tell you, there's been such an advantage on building a rental portfolio, even though it's still small at the moment. I've got to the point where the rental portfolio can cover the business monthly expenses. So if there's no sales registering in a month or two, at least business expenses are covered. And that is also a way of agents sustaining themselves, in the industry. Have a small rental portfolio, then at least you've got your monthly expenses for whatever personal expenses you may have. It covers your fuel and your data, and you can go on. And then you don't have to be that anxious every time waiting for the deal to register. Rentals is definitely it doesn't have to be hard work.
Yeah.
If you put your proper checks in place, if you do your proper vetting, if you do get your proper lease in place, if you do your proper monthly invoicing, um, if all those things are done correctly from the beginning, it doesn't have to be a hassle. Then from there, you've just got your monthly checkpoints of invoicing, your midterm inspection, and then checking on renewal again. And then, of course, the ad hoc maintenance that comes in. But if you vet your tenant correctly and you've got not only a good quality tenant, you need a good quality landlord, because that landlord needs to be giving you a good quality property. Otherwise, you're going to have problems every couple of days if the property is not functioning the way it should be. So, I'm luckily at the point now where I can decide if I'm taking on that rental or not, or telling the landlord, please kindly, here's a list of 5 things to do. Come back to me once you've done that, and then we'll consider taking on your management. But I found if you take on a poor quality property, then that is also the way the tenant ends up treating your property, the way you've given them a property. So if you don't give them a good product, they're not going to give you a good tenancy. So if you get that right, then your rentals can be managed quite effectively.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely agree with every single thing you said. Being an agent almost feels like you're an entrepreneur, right? And you're working on a business, and it's just scary. And I had to learn that lesson painfully, where I was focusing on flipping properties. But then, geez, Daniel, what are you making if you do not find a property to flip? That's the importance of having an annuity-based model. So at least if you do not get a sale, you've got something to carry you. And thanks for that, huh?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching the end. So I just want to know from both Akashni and Carmen, what just little tip or gem that you want to leave, especially regarding the event on Saturday, that you want to leave our viewers with in order for them to be amped up for Saturday?
Carmen, do you want to go first?
Okay. So, first of all, I'm really excited to be on the other side of the SAPN table. And yeah, I think everybody must just come prepared to network, ask questions. You know, what I've learned in this business, we can't do it on our own. It's all about collaboration. And that's why I'm so excited for this event that's taking place. And the ladies must really just look at making good connections on Saturday.
Okay,
Stunning. So I just want to say, as always, we love having the ladies there asking their questions. I find that a lot of the times ladies are still very scared, but please bring that scaredness to the party, and that's why we're there. You can come with any questions that you want, and I think the more simple the question, or even if it's complicated, but the more simple the question, the better. Sometimes we just want to ask a simple question and we think that it's going to be perceived in a particular way, but this is all about getting structure, getting a system, getting a plan of action, and getting your property journey going. Finding a starting point, finding the direction. And so, come on through, this Saturday. It's at a lovely restaurant. I really love the restaurant, and I actually feel that it's in an environment as well where you're going to see more than just what Cape Town is perceived to be, which is not all about just Airbnb, even though those Airbnbs are pretty awesome, but it's not all about that. So we want you to see more of Cape Town by taking you to areas where you would not ordinarily have the chance to go to. So please come on through, and yeah, we look forward to having you there.
Fantastic. As you heard, ladies, you're going to be having amazing views, just a day full of knowledge and information and education, and no question is too insignificant, stupid, or small, right? You can ask any question that you want, because would you rather, look silly and then leave knowing, or just continue to be silly because you were too afraid to actually ask? But sadly, we have to bid you a fond farewell. So from Akashni and from Carmen, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today, and super looking. Unfortunately, I can't make it, but I'd love to.
I'd love to have you there someday.
But I want to say thank you so much. And Daniel, as always, it's always a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you. And happy International Women's Month. Hey? We'll see you all next week.
Thank you. Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much.